The caller ID flashed a familiar number, and my stomach dropped. It was midday, my favorite time at the McElroy house, where the natural light perfectly illuminated my work churning through manuscripts at the University of Arkansas Press. The Cantrell Gallery in Little Rock was calling me. It was probably Cindy, but she never called unless I did first. The book project had stalled, and there was nothing new to report. That must be it. Why am I like this? She clearly just wants to check in. I picked up the receiver. It was Cindy. Her tone was somber. LeeNora Parlor was gone. LeeNora Parlor was from Camden, Arkansas. A self-taught painter, she found herself the darling of the Little Rock art world around 2007, when she was featured during an exhibition at the Old State House Museum. The exhibition, called A Piece of My Soul, showcased Black Arkansas quilters and was complemented by her artworks. She painted family photographs, creating dynamic visions of the past. LeeNora came to me one day in a newspaper clipping. One morning, Larry Malley, the director and editor of the University of Arkansas Press, walked through the doorway of our adjoining offices. As he often did, he handed me a random piece of paper and told me to start a file. This time, though, it was an article on LeeNora's artwork being featured at the Cantrell Gallery in Little Rock. As an art historian, I was immediately intrigued by the comparisons being made to folk painter Grandma Moses. In fact, the article was cleverly called Grandma's Muses. I made a file and printed the web version of the article, which featured a painting of LeeNora's great-great-grandmother. The painting is haunting. It has the stillness of a photograph, but I felt I could reach into it and touch the grass. The figure of her ancestor has a pulsating aura, the details of her face, in contrast to the abstraction of the rest.
Like you said, the detail of the faces, wanting to make sure that that part was as accurate as it could be, and then having a lot of fun with where to me the faces were literal from a black and white photograph. They stuck with, kind of a black, white, gray tone. So they were very often somber and completely realistic to a black and white photograph, but then she would have a lot of fun with the setting and the clothes and the whatever else was going on in the painting. And I just loved the juxtaposition and the whimsy of some of them.
LeeNora described her art as a gentle mysticism. She was college educated but a self-taught painter because she didn't like the rules and wanted to create compositions on her own terms. LeeNora was guided by her spirituality. Her family photographs, a blessing in their own right, were an oracle. She would sit in front of them, close her eyes, and reach out to the portrait that called to her. The result was a body of work that preserves her family's memory in Arkansas for over a century.
When she discovered the photo albums of her ancestors, and they go all the way back to sometime in the late 1800s, and she really valued the fact that, being a Black person in America and having such, a fantastic record of photographs of her family that went way back generations, and to look into the eyes of the people, who preceded her.
LeeNora Parlor died in 2015. As there was no public notice, the news traveled by word of mouth among those who knew her. That's when Cindy called me at the UA Press.
I think that was the part that just really astonished me, is that we couldn't find any evidence of anything that had taken place to uh, be a tribute to her at the time of her death. And that was the part I think that just kind of leaves you feeling a little like, uh, how do we, I don't know if closure is the right word, or I don't even know how to describe what it is I'm trying to say, but I remember just feeling kind of like, oh, what, how do we process this? I don't understand.
In time, we moved on, but LeeNora's art remained, and with it, the question of What now? I, too, moved on from my work with the press. However, in my periodic lunches with the new press director, Mike Beaker, I'd ask about it. He wanted to do it, but didn't know how. Neither did I. Until one day, when it dawned on me that we had been treating it as a standard coffee table art book. It was a storybook about a century of family in rural Arkansas. It was the novel she wanted to write, but ended up painting instead. All there, waiting for us to bring this gift, endowed by her creator, to her family and the world.
Creating art is this thing that comes from inside the artist and it goes out onto the canvas and it's like they can't help it. It's just something that's inside of them. And I think that's the special thing that LeeNora had, that it was something inside of her that had to come out. And when you saw it on canvas, then you realized that she really had an important message to share.